recording.
I feel very honored to have Dr. Danuta Hoyer from Chicago here with us to elucidate us about the Orenda products, especially the Clean Burn Shape. And she is an award-winning doctor from Chicago, and I need say no more. She'll do it.
Thank you. I wanted to give you a little bit about my background. I was trained as a traditional allopathic physician and have been in practice for about 30 years. And very shortly after starting practice, I realized that the way that I was taught is not the only way of doing things. And both my partner in crime, so to speak, Vesna, who's my partner in the practice, and I were kind of known as the granola doctors at our hospital. They used to, kind of kid us that we would be always talking about nutrition, talking about, improving lifestyle, etc., as part of an overall plan of health. And as time has gone on, we basically got more training, became masters prepared in integrative medicine, and have been doing a lot of nutritional counseling, dietary counseling, as well as, the usual bread and butter medicine that we practice. And what we've been astonished to see over the past 30 years is an exponential rise in diseases that we were taught about. We knew we'd see them, but they're basically accelerating. And I'll give you some examples. There is just a huge rise in autoimmune illness, in lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory psoriatic arthritis, asthma, all sorts of respiratory issues, allergies in general. 30, 40 years ago, you never saw anaphylactic shock from peanut allergies. You just didn't see that. It was a very rare thing. Now you can't bring any food into a classroom without, the entire class making sure that no one is allergic. So it's a completely different scenario that we see right now. In addition to that, we know that we have a epidemic of obesity. And it's not just calories in and calories out. These are not people who basically ate, 10,000 calories a day. That's almost humanly impossible. But it's the type of calories that they're ingesting and how some of these foods are what we call obesogens. They make us obese because of the way that they are handled by our bodies. So let's talk about toxicity for a second, because I think this is a worldwide problem. There's toxicity on a beautiful island like this. There's toxicity in major metropolitan areas where there's a lot of industrial pollution. And we now know that since World War II, the amount and number of chemicals that have been produced and synthesized and mass-produced has grown exponentially. And we now know also that all these toxins and organic pollutants are organic molecules that are fat-soluble, and they tend to, when we're exposed to them, they go to our fat stores. So some of our fat is superficial, and some of our fat is intra-abdominal and around all our major organs, but it's fat nonetheless, and that's where the toxicity lies. If you do a fat biopsy, and they did this about 12 years ago, average number of chemicals on a fat biopsy is about 300. If you take cord blood, umbilical cord blood from a newborn baby that hasn't taken their first breath yet, you're going to see 270 chemicals in cord blood. So this is passed through the mother in utero all the time. And the estimates now are that we are exposed in one day to more toxicity than our grandparents were in a lifetime. So what are the methods of detoxification? We have, first and primary, our liver is our major organ of detoxification, and the kidney comes second. And we can expel some of these toxins through urine, through feces, and through sweat. And so how do we enable these things to happen? The important thing to remember here is, remember that these chemicals are fat-soluble. So they like to be embedded in fat. And that's almost like a way that the body wants to save itself by putting it into a long-term storage facility away from what's happening every day. So when you try to release these toxins, let's say you just want to lose 10 pounds, and you go on a exercise and diet, and you're losing some weight, etc., and you're burning some of that fat, you are basically releasing those toxins into your circulation. So that is not necessarily a good thing, because you're basically exposing all your vital organs to poison. And the whole idea of detoxification is to have a way to release it, but quickly make it water soluble, so that these chemicals can then be urinated out, pooped out, and sweated off. So that's the magic of detoxification. So when you look at all these different detoxes where people are doing, 10 days or 15 days or even 30 days of, almost starvation diet and, lemon juices and other kinds of cayenne pepper cleanses, those are basically not diets that I would say are helping your liver remove some of these things and make them water soluble. So Clean, Burn, and Shape is a detoxification program first, and then when people need to lose more weight, they go on into a more lengthy process that adds back some of the foods that they weren't taking in the first 10 days. So let me talk about the 10-day detox. You're basically a vegan for 10 days. Not that difficult to do. You will never be hungry because of the way that you'll be eating. You'll be eating 9 servings of vegetables and fruits a day, and you will be ingesting a Shape shake, which is a very green, 12 organic green things in it shake once or twice a day. You'll be ingesting a clean drink that has about 30 herbs, Ayurvedic and others that help the liver with glucuronidation. And that's a drink, very pleasantly tasting. And you'll be taking a burn capsule with each meal 3 times a day, which has organic chlorogenic acid extracted from green organic coffee beans, which helps the blood sugar not rise too much after a meal, which helps you then try to go after the calories that are stored in your fat so you burn fat. So imagine those 10 days as being a time of cooking a lot of different vegetables in a variety of ways, and eating fruit, and you can make it in any way you wish. You are also drinking half your body weight in water. And why is that important? Because, again, you're trying to make these organic chemicals water soluble. And if you make it water soluble, you have to have an exit strategy. If you're not urinating a lot, they're not exiting. If you're not pooping a lot, they're not exiting. And sweating, of course, well, you can sweat. That's your third way of egress. Is also a good way. So again, no hunger. You are more than satiated. When you're trying to select which vegetables and fruits to choose, remember a very simple way of eating. And it's very good to begin this low glycemic kind of way of eating in general, because it's very healthy. When we eat carbohydrates in bigger quantities, let's say you have a bran muffin, a big piece of papaya, and maybe a bowl of grapes. All of that food is very healthy. There's nothing wrong with it. But we have 3 loads of carbohydrate all at one time. Your sugar will go up this high. Your body will make a lot of insulin, because insulin is a storage hormone, and that sugar will dive down and overshoot and get too low. When it goes beyond 80, under 80, you'll start craving. And what do we run and do if we start craving? We run to the refrigerator or something else and eat again. And it's a self-preservation mechanism, because the body doesn't want to have a seizure. You don't want to have a hypoglycemic event. So again, we zigzag up and down. And most of us are doing a lot of that. That's why people are so tired after a larger meal. They probably have looked at all their calories, and I would say that the majority is still carbohydrate with too little protein. As soon as you add more protein to your carbohydrates, your rise of that curve is much, much less steep. So you make less insulin. So you don't go down too low and you don't get cravings. And keeping ourselves within a narrow range in a low glycemic diet is very healthy. Better for mental clarity and focus, better energy, and again, less of that insulin spike all the time. Insulin is not just a storage hormone that puts all our calories into our cell, but it also has been linked to high levels of insulin, are linked to diabetes, are linked to cancer, are linked to heart disease. It's inflammatory. So were designed to have lower insulin levels. So whenever you look at a plate, if you think you're going to be rising your sugar with it, you know you're going to have high insulin, take something off that plate. So there you've completed a 10-day sequence. And for most people who are generally healthy and eat reasonably, I would recommend a detox like that about 3 times a year, seasonally, just to kind of get things out of the system. And then we recommend a life program, which is a clean day once a week, where you're taking the clean drink, the shape shake, etc. You eat correctly the rest of the week, and on the weekends maybe you're eating a little bit more freely. But you always know you can kind of get back into that swing of cleanliness. For people who need to lose more than 5 to 7 pounds, there's a 30-day program, which is not a vegan for all 30 days. Basically, it's clean day on Mondays, and the rest of the days you add back free-range chicken, clean sources of meat, fish, etc., to your 9 servings of fruits and vegetables. It's mostly gluten-free diet. So again, this is a very good introduction for some people who think they may be sensitive to cow's milk and to gluten, and if they take themselves off for a certain amount of time and they reintroduce those proteins, they can then see if they have reactions. I particularly like when people have to lose weight and they've done the 10-day cleanse and they're into the 30 days, and then they go wild and they take a day off and they go out with their friends, they go to their favorite restaurant, they order all the things that they used to eat, and they come home, and about an hour or two after that, they don't feel well, they get a headache, they feel exhausted, they may have, bloating and everything else, and then it dawns on them that this is the way they ate all the time, and they probably felt similarly, but they never could put it together because they felt like that all the time. So that for me is the beginning of lifestyle change for folks, because they then begin to link what they're eating to how they're feeling, and they're getting better and better at making better choices. So again, clean, burn, shape, very simple 10-day detox followed by a program that can help you stay on track. The second line of products that Orenda offers is something called Ultimate Pack. And I'll tell you why I was very intrigued by these products to begin with, as before Orenda even had Clean, Burn, and Shape, they had the Ultimate Pack. For many years, we've been recommending that people take a good line of supplements. And there are a lot of good companies out there, and basically they should be GMP, they should have high standards of their ingredients, etc. But what a lot of companies have taken to doing is, just like pharmaceutical companies, they have this product for this problem, this product for this, and eventually people are coming in with 25 bottles. It takes me half an hour to figure out what's duplicated between them all and what is maybe not to be taken together, and nobody is going to be compliant with 25 pills. Nobody, no matter how motivated they are. They'll do it for a month, maybe a month and a half, and everything falls by the wayside. So when I look at Ultimate Pack, it really tries to take and bring all aspects of your health together. So let's talk about brain and neuroendocrine system. A lot of the toxins I mentioned are neuroendocrine disruptors. What do I mean by that? Because they are organic molecules, they tend to look a little like some of our hormones. And they fit into our cellular receptor sites like a hormone, and they turn that cell on like the hormone would. And so we really need to get rid of excess toxicity for that reason. And what it does at the brain and glandular level is it basically disrupts pituitary to thyroid, pituitary to adrenal, pituitary to your ovaries and testicle function. And so the first product that intrigued me was something called Otropin. Otropin is a spray. Otropin has what we call a liposomal delivery system. What does that mean? It means that the actual products that need to be delivered directly by GPS to your pituitary gland have to cross the blood-brain barrier and have to have fat around them so that they can cross over and go directly to that area. And so it's a spray that you spray under your tongue. In the evening before bed, in the morning as you wake up, it sits on my nightstand. What can you expect to get from Otropin? You can expect deeper, better quality of sleep. That would lead to more energy during the day. We have this thing we call the Orenda glow. After about 2-3 months of taking these products, it's like the lights are turned on. People have a brighter sort of look to them. You can see it on photographs. What basically happens is your pituitary and hypothalamus are maximally functioning when you're about 20-21 years old. And after that, just like most of our other hormonal systems, it's a very slow decline. It's not a precipitous decline. But what we're seeing now is we're seeing hormonal disruptions in 40-year-olds that we used to see in 60-year-olds. So it's all moving toward younger people. And so that curve that is going down gradually, we just want to uplift it a little bit. We're not looking for levels of a 21-year-old, but you will notice that people can lose weight more effectively with Otropin. They have more energy. Some people have better libido. When we measure something called IGF, which is a precursor for growth hormone, we can see that people's levels are low for their age. They can actually get them to normal for their age after taking it for several months. So these are some of the things that Otropin does. Second product, so now you've fixed the brain to gland system, so you can see that that benefits your thyroid, your adrenals, your ovaries, testicles. What's the next system that you need to pay attention to? Your gastrointestinal system. If you line up every cell from your mouth to the rectum, the square footage of that is astronomically large. It's as big as a tennis court. So the absorptive capacity from here to there is huge. And that's where really the outside meets the inside. So what has happened is, number one, we eat too fast. We're in a rush. We don't chew properly. Doesn't get absorbed properly. We get to the further part of our small bowel, and we have something called leaky gut. So what is leaky gut? The cells of your GI tract are tightly bound with tight junctions like glue. And the reason for that is because here's where the food is, here's where your circulatory system, your capillaries and blood vessels are, and the cells are sitting here waiting to absorb nutrients, right? Well, those nutrients are supposed to be going into the cell. But with leaky gut, those connections are loose. So what now happens is these molecules that are poorly digested go in between the cells, they hit your bloodstream sees this and says, well, that's a foreign molecule, I should make an antibody against that. I should have a reaction against that. That doesn't look like it should be here, because it shouldn't be here. It should be absorbed in a different way. So in some people it's going to be fatigue, in others it's going to be a skin rash, and other people are going to have joint pain. And this is how autoimmunity begins. And this is why our theory is that when we keep that gut intact, we're going to have a lot less of these reactions and illnesses that are very, very common. You know, just about everybody who comes in the office, it's fatigue, fatigue, fatigue. We do all their blood work, everything looks good, and you know, it's not in their head. There is something going on. So what EASE is the gastrointestinal product. It has 4 things in one capsule. It has digestive enzymes that help you absorb in the upper tract. So you take it with a meal twice a day. And then the rest of it is a prebiotic, which is the food the good bacteria has to eat to multiply, and a probiotic, which probably everyone in the room already takes, but that replenishes your microbiome. And the 4th thing is serrapeptidase, which is sort of like a little layer of glue, shall we say, over that top layer of cells, so you have a little bit more of a tightness between cells. So let's talk a little bit about microbiome. You're going to hear a lot more over the years as it comes on about how important the bacteria in your gut is. We have about 6 to 8 pounds of good bacteria in our gut that is approximately makes up 60% of your immune system. So, and distorted bacteria means an inability to fight off infection, an inability to not be able to maybe recognize bad cells that are going to be cancerous at some point. So it's in everybody's best interest to feed your microbiome. How have we distorted our microbiome? That's pretty easy. Most of the antibiotics produced in the United States are for farm animals. They're fed the antibiotics, we eat the animals, we get it indirectly. And the other part is my fault and my colleagues' fault for prescribing and overprescribing antibiotics for those patients who call up and insist that they need something because they have a cold that started yesterday. And we fight with them, and we try to educate them. And we say no, and they'll go to the next urgent care center, and they'll get that antibiotic. So it's sort of this re-education for people to begin to know when it's appropriate and when it isn't appropriate, and to replenish that good bacteria as much as possible.
I just have a quick question about, also, what about like cleaning products? I've noticed from like bleach and all.
All of that is leached into, we're inhaling it, we're exposed to it, it's coming in off our skin, we're absorbing a lot of chemicals that way as well. Absolutely. Good ways to clean is with vinegar and just natural products as much as possible. So here we've taken care of the neuroendocrine system, so brain to body, glandular, your GI tract, and now the third system is your immune system. So your immune system has two balancing acts, Th1 and Th2. Both are important. We don't want to favor one over the other, you want to support both. On the one side, you have an immune system that has to respond to things that are foreign, right? Because if you're really exposed to something really bad, you should alarm the system and there should be antibodies made against it. On the other hand, there is the part of the immune system that identifies cells that have abnormal DNA or has an infected cell with a virus or a bacteria, okay? Because that cell should be identified and you should call over these macrophages to gobble it up and take it away. So, that cell that is important to identify that is a T cell is called a T suppressor cell. You want to increase those T cells as much as possible with nutrition, and you want to help cleanse your cells as much as possible with nutrition. So immune is the product that does that. It has three things in it. Moramylpeptides, beta-1,3 glucans, and calcium deglucarate. And calcium deglucarate is not a calcium supplement, it's just linked to glucuric acid. And remember I said that the liver is something that does glucuronidation. It needs glucuric acid to do that detoxification process. So in immune are three things that you can buy at the health food store all separately, but will cost you more to formulate those 3 bottles than to take immune by itself. General population, 1 capsule twice a day. If you have any autoimmune issues, be they allergic, asthma, hives, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, any other kind of thing, I tell people, depending on what there is, we try to increase the dose. These products are supplements. They do not cure disease. They do not mitigate disease. But we see improvements in how people can deal with their diseases when they're given the right nutrition. I don't travel without immune if I get on an airplane, because you're exposed to everybody's recirculated air and droplet, bacteria and viruses. I take 3 before I get on the airplane and 3 when I get off. We've had people with influenza. We've proven it with swabs. We give them many immunes, like 3, 3, 3, 3 over a 2-day period. We get swab negative influenza, which is, in 48 hours to get rid of influenza is pretty difficult. So this is a wonderful product that, is just, I can't be without it in my medicine cabinet. And the fourth thing in the Ultimate Pack is a high-quality multiple vitamin with minerals and 2,000 international units of vitamin D3. And why is that important? It's because even though most of the people that I run across here eat organic, eat clean, etc., the soil that we grow things in, we don't have a guarantee that there's enough minerals in it. In fact, we know that most people are magnesium deficient because it's just the soil is deficient as well. So a good quality multiple vitamin to add to good food is essential in this day and age. There are a few other products that Orenda makes that don't happen to fall into a particular box. One is called Balance, which has Ayurvedic herbs and valerian root, which is good for calming down. It's also good for reducing sweet cravings. And you take that 2-3 sprays several times a day or as needed. And then there is a serum that has some stem cell extracts in it, and also has a product that delivers more oxygen to the surface that it's put on. And that was first used by the military in the battlefield when they didn't have a blood source, but they needed to deliver more oxygen to tissue, and they had a way to do that, and that has been incorporated into the serum. And the last but not least product is Okai, which is a blend of very, very dark red and purple fruits, the majority of which is something called Aronia berry. Aronia berry, if you look at the antioxidant sort of amounts in various berries, you know the blueberries are very high in antioxidants. You know that acai is even higher. Aronia is up double that. So if you add all these in a blend, it makes it more tasty because Aronia is extremely bitter. So they've added these other purple, red, blue fruits to make it more palatable. And you only need like a little shot glass once a day, or you can put it into a smoothie, and it's very, very, easy to take. So that in a nutshell is why it's important to do certain things with your diet and with cleansing for your better health, but also to sort of try to make it simple, because this can get awfully complicated. Over the years, we've tried a variety of detoxes. Some of them are 30-day detoxes that take away each little food group every 2 or 3 days. And for the general majority of people, untenable, very difficult to do. If someone is very, very ill, we sometimes resort to those. But if you can make people compliant with an easy-to-follow regimen, they are successful, they feel better, and they move on. And that's really, what we're trying to do. So that is it in a nutshell.
That's a great nutshell.
All right.
Is this available in Europe also? How is it available?
It's available in England. It's
Only.
available in England.
Only England.
And my partner Vesna is Croatian, so she has cousins in England who get it, and then they ship it to Croatia to relatives, etc. But it's not available in all other countries in Europe yet.
You can't ship it to Germany. I know that, or the Netherlands.
Oh, that's...
What you would do, you can carry it. You can go to England and carry it to any of the countries.
They don't let it ship because they don't know what it is. It's on a list of...
They will take a long time analyzing it, and it becomes very expensive.
In terms of, I don't know about all countries in Europe, but for example, the Germans have a very long list of what they allow in products and what they don't allow in products. And whereas most of these, if you really look, I think they're all available